When you're thinking about laying your track, using a Tracksetta might not be the first thing you think of, but maybe it should be. Let's have a look at what they do. Hi, welcome back to St Blazey Model World. I'm Roger, and in this episode I thought we'd have a look at the Tracksetta, because if you're using FlexiTrack, you really can't afford to do without them. Let's see why. Now, before we go any further, I just want to clear up a couple of points. Firstly, you'll notice that the track I'm using for this demonstration is not how you would expect it to appear at the point of delivery. And that's because it has already been through stage 1 of my particular track preparation process. It's been sprayed with sleeper grime. Just in case you don't know what sleeper grime is, here is that particular product. It's an enamel paint, and of course it's worth remembering that you must use enamel paints in a very well ventilated area and preferably outside. That's particularly true if it's a spray paint. I'm not saying that my method is right and another is wrong. We all prepare our track differently, but I do like to use sleeper grime on all of my track, and it gives me a starting point. Now, if you are already an experienced railway modeller, please forgive me, because the second point I wish to clear up is the difference between gauge and scale. It's clear from some of the emails that I get that beginners to our hobby don't fully understand the difference, and so here is a brief definition of each of those two terms. Now, as well as my Tracksetta templates, I've also got here a 6-foot weigh gauge. That's this item here, and that allows me to ensure that my track is reasonably well spaced. So if we have a double track situation, we don't want those two tracks very close together, and certainly they need to be sufficiently far apart to look realistic, but also to prevent collisions between our larger items of rolling stock. Now, you might assume that just because you're laying your FlexiTrack in a straight line that the gauge is constant, but of course that's sort of an assumption, isn't it? But there is a way to check it, because as well as all of the curve templates, Tracksetta also produce a straight one, and all you do is take your Tracksetta, put it into the middle of the track, press it down, and you can run it through and make sure that the gauge, remember the distance between the two inner faces of these stock rails, remains a constant. So now we've got our Tracksetta moving along this radius, this piece of curve that we've created. You see it moves freely, and that ensures that the gauge, the distance between these two stock rails, is constant. That is very important, because the last thing we want to do is create a derailment situation for our rolling stock. Why does that matter? Well, a derailment on a model railway, of course, is not that serious compared to a derailment on a real railway. But remember that some of these new items of rolling stock cost us a great deal of money. And I recently made a video, I think it was about a Pendolino, I can't remember exactly now, something from Hornby that cost just over £500. You don't want the risk of a derailment. Using a Tracksetta is one way to avoid it. Well, I've put that template all the way through our track now, this piece of FlexiTrack, and it gives us a nice smooth bend. And as we go overhead with the camera view, I'll just pull it along, and you can see Tracksetta comes into view, still in place in the track. Of course, we'll take that out once we've pinned or screwed our track into place. Now, that all works very well for one basic curve, but what if you wanted to do something a little bit different? You might want to put an S-bend into your track. Well, that's easy as well with the Tracksetta templates. I'll show you how. Now, on this example, we've still got our 60-inch Tracksetta in place, we've got a nice right hand curve here, and we move along a little bit and we can see that I've introduced a 48-inch Tracksetta. Please don't adjust your set, that is deliberately the other way round, and it creates a nice little S curve. Let's have a look at that without the Tracksettas in place. So looking overhead, we can see that we really have got a nice little S curve in play here. It really does create a nice little piece of track, and something that you may well find out there in the real world. All the while we have ensured that the gauge, the distance between the two inner faces of our stock rails, is a constant. If you've already got a model railway and you find yourself having derailments in one particular spot, it may well be worth checking that gauge, because pound to a penny, it's either that is the cause, or the wheels on your particular piece of rolling stock need resetting so that their gauge matches the gauge of the track. Just as a last comparison now, we've got our straight piece of track against the piece that I've just created, and I hope you'll agree that it really does have a pleasant effect on the eye. It has to be said that Tracksettas are not the cheapest of model railway accessories. Each one would cost you around £10 UK sterling from well-known internet auction sites or from model railway shops. But the benefits they give you of ensuring the integrity of your gauge really, to my mind, makes them indispensable, especially if you're looking at a derailment and perhaps costly repairs to a piece of rolling stock that costs several £100s. If you're part of a model railway club, I suggest that you club together. Yeah, literally, club together. And in that case, you can of course share the benefits of these particular products amongst the members of that club. They are available in OO gauge, as in these ones here, HO00. I think I'm pretty sure they're also available in O gauge and TT gauge, and I know that they are available in N gauge because I have a set of those as well, because if you're a regular to the channel, you'll know that my own layout is in fact N gauge. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope it's been informative and useful. As always, from St Blazey Model World, stay safe, please take care. The wolf is always at the door, as I have learned recently in my private life. Thanks for watching. If you have time, leave a comment, really would appreciate it. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up also. Stay safe, bye for now, from St Blazey Model World.